One of the most hyped gacha games ever, Honkai Star Rail, is finally here. And so, does it live up to the hype? Is it a good game or is it a flop? Well, here are my first impressions. So there's a lot to talk about, but first we have the gameplay. So it's a turn-based gacha game. Now that may scare some of you, as the turn-based genre is a genre that some people either love or hate. Now me personally, I'm on the love side, probably due to me growing up on the Final Fantasy games. But if you do hate the genre, then do be wary that Honkai Star Rail is a turn-based game. But now Honkai Star Rail is a game that has you play a team of 4 characters with the ability to mix and match any character you want, and who all have different skills, different ultimates, different elements, different icons, different relics. There's a lot here, but before we talk about these, let's talk about the actual battles in the game and one of the potential problems with it. So in battle, you'll be able to attack the enemy, use a skill if you have enough skill points, and use an ultimate if you have enough energy. And these ultimates, oh man, these ultimates are good. I've been using Himeko, and she has to have one of the best ultimates I've seen in the gacha game. And it is so fun to get a new character and to see their ultimate. But now that is also where we find one big point of criticism with the game, in that it is really basic, in that you only have 2 buttons, your attack and your skill, with an ultimate that comes up every now and then. And so that sort of complexity that the genre is known for is not there. Now, while I'm not expecting it to be as complex as a console turn-based game, as at the end of the day, it's a gacha game, it's a mobile game, but some more complexity, maybe with some more abilities, would be nice. I mean, the fact that you can't use even items in the middle of the battle does kind of suck, as that's usually a classic thing in turn-based games. I mean, even in Gacha you can use items. And so this sort of simplicity in the battles would be my biggest criticism of the game right now, and one I hope is addressed in the future. As a game, this game has just released, and so they have a lot of time to add new mechanics and such. But now moving on, this game features an array of customizable things to add to your character to make them play exactly how you want them to, including light cones, which are pretty much weapons from Genshin. These are items that will drastically improve the stats of your character and are mainly obtained from the gacha of the game, but more on that later. You also have traces, which is a mini skill tree like thing, and is how you improve your character's skills and gain important buffs for your character. You of course have the relic system, which is like the artifact system from Genshin that has gear that you can collect with randomized stats. Yes, randomized stats. Oh yeah, you know what that means. Hours and hours of farming the same relic just to get absolutely nothing and repeat the same thing the next day. Whoopee! But now, before the doom and gloom that comes with it, one thing that Honkai Star Rail does have that makes this grind a bit easier is auto battle. So auto battle is a staple in many gacha games and makes grinding materials or relics so much easier. And so there's that. But now let's move on to the story. So the story thrusts you right into the middle of a conflict involving many characters and a mysterious thing called Stellaron. And while the start of the game is a bit jarring as you are bombarded with information, with words you don't know, you will soon slowly ease into it, especially once you leave that initial space station. Now, while the story hasn't quite captured me like some other gacha games, it's still very decent and has a lot of time to improve, so I'm looking forward to that. But now, I mentioned there's a lot of characters, and oh my god, are they amazing. I mean, this is a MiHoYo game after all, so that character design quality that they're known for is, I'm glad to say, still here in Honkai Star Rail. So Honkai Star Rail features a variety of different characters, each with their own feel, not only in their gameplay with the different elements and weapons they have, but also in the way they act, talk, their backstories, and all of that culminating into some of the best character design we've seen in gacha games. It's great to see, and it's one of the big positives I would give this game right now. Moving on from the characters, we reach the most important thing about this game, or rather about gacha games in general, and that's, well, that's the gacha. So MiHoYo, MiHoYo isn't exactly known for its generosity when it comes to the games, and is, well, it's actually known for the opposite. It's known to be quite stingy when it comes to the premium currencies of their gacha games, as well as their low rates on the banners. So in Honkai Star Rail, the rate of obtaining a 5-star character is a whopping 0.6%. Yes, 0.6, not 6, but 0.6%. So, well, I hope you're religious because you will be praying to God a lot to get the character you want. This is extremely low, especially if you're coming from another gacha game. If you're coming from a MiHoYo game, you're probably used to it. But if you aren't, then in this game, you don't really think about pulling a character outright, as you'll probably very rarely be able to. You instead more focus on if you are close to the pity, which is 90 pulls to get, upon which you have a 50% chance to get the character you want. And then if you don't get that character, then you'll get it 100% the next time, with the light cone banner, which is like the weapons, only being a little better at 80 pulls. So this is quite rough, and I expect there, like Genshin, to be a lot of videos coming out of people saving up for their pity only to not get the character they want, which raises the question of who will be Honkai Star Rail's Chi-Chi. But now, they also have a beginner banner that will guarantee a 5-star character in 50 pulls, and if you are thinking of re-rolling, then good luck, because it takes ages to get to the gacha part, and even when you're there, you still need to farm a bit for the currency to get all these 50 pulls if you don't get the character earlier. And so the gacha system is tough, especially if you're coming from a gacha game that isn't Genshin. And so definitely get ready, if you're free to play, to skip banners and be disappointed when you don't get the character you want. Now finally, we reach the end game and the future. So right now we have, I would say, 3 main things to do at the end game. The first is everyone's favorite, relic farming. Now with the relics in this game, you can actually craft them, and there is an item that lets you choose the stat of said item, which is pretty good and can help make this grind better, as well as the fact that there is auto battle, so hopefully it's not as bad as Genshin's. The second is the simulated universe mode, which is comparable with the Elysian realm mode from Honkai Impact, and has you go through worlds that become increasingly difficult, and that has roguelike features added into it. It's fun, it resets weekly, and is the way you can get some powerful items, including light cones. The difficulty of it so far does not seem that difficult, but they can always add more worlds in the future, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. And then we have the Forgotten Hall, which is the big in-game mode, and is pretty much like the Spiral Abyss mode for Honkai Star Rail. So this is tough and gets progressively harder as you go up the memories, and you will need to carefully pick out your team, keeping close attention to the elemental weaknesses of the enemies in the memory to have the best chance to clear it. Now once you clear it, you'll be rewarded with items such as Stellar Jades, which are the premium currency of the game, and Lucent Afterglow, which is a currency that can be exchanged for powerful light cones, the weapons of this game. So this is definitely worth doing. And so overall, there's a decent chunk to look forward to as you approach the end game, which is great news for people like me who dislike the sort of non-existent in-game that Genshin had. And there's something that hopefully MiHoYo focuses on, as coming from someone who played a ton of Genshin. Funnest thing about Genshin was finally getting the character you want, leveling them, getting the best artifacts, and seeing that character grow, only to be faced with the worst thing is that you really didn't have anything to use your character on, aside from the Spiral Abyss and the odd event here and there. And so overall, Honkai Star Rail is an impressive game that has a lot of potential, but does have a few problems, especially with its combat, but are problems that can be fixed over time. And so overall, my first impressions are, if you're a fan of previous MiHoYo games or the turn-based genre, then definitely give Honkai Star Rail a try. But no, if you want my honest opinion, there's no jumping, so worst game ever, 0 out of 10.